Taste the challenge. It's the power of radio control. If you can't take it, you'll eat dust.
In the 1980s, before realistic graphics and open worlds, racing video games had a special charm. They were simple, yet capable of keeping kids glued to the TV for hours, speeding through pixelated tracks and dreaming of high velocity. Let's revisit 10 classic console games that shaped this era and still spark nostalgia today. Few games symbolize the arrival of racing to consoles as much as pole position. Adapted from the arcade hit, it brought living room players the thrill once exclusive to noisy arcades. Even with simple graphics and limited controls, it delivered an unprecedented sense of speed and quickly became a phenomenon. What's striking is how pole position created loyal fans who saw those pixelated races as more than just a pastime. For many, it was a window into the future of virtual racing, where every curve carried emotion. This classic still shows how the simplicity of the 80s continues to bring waves of nostalgia. Developed by Activision, Enduro became one of the most memorable racing games on the Atari 2600. The goal was to pass hundreds of cars under different conditions, from bright mornings to dark nights, and even thick fog. This variety created a unique atmosphere that kept players engaged. The endurance challenge made it special. To progress, players needed focus and quick reflexes through long stretches of racing. For many, Enduro captures the spirit of the Atari era, when every pixel fueled imagination. It remains remembered as one of the most creative and immersive titles of its generation. Created by Square before Final Fantasy, Rad Racer brought high-speed, colorful races to the NES. A standout feature was its Anaglyph 3D mode, complete with red and blue glasses inside the box. For its time, this was a daring innovation that made the game unforgettable. It won players over with diverse tracks and backgrounds, creating an immersive feel uncommon in the 80s. Rad Racer proved that creativity could transform technical limits into innovation. Even now, it's remembered fondly as one of the NES racing titles that defined the decade. With its isometric view and remote control cars, RC Pro-Am brought a fun and different style of racing to the NES. Developed by Rare, it challenged players with sharp corners, obstacles, and power-ups that made each race unpredictable and exciting. The mix of simplicity and strategy was the key, forcing players to use resources wisely to win. For many, it was one of the most addictive games of the 8-bit generation, proving that even toy cars could deliver epic competition. It still stands out as a game that kept kids coming back for just one more race. Released by Sega, Outrun brought a sense of freedom to racing, putting players in a red convertible cruising through palm-lined highways. A defining feature was the choice of background music, as if tuning a car radio, something unforgettable for the time. The game stood out for its laid-back style and vibrant visuals, different from traditional simulators. Its nostalgic atmosphere marked a generation, turning Outrun into a symbol of 80s gaming. It remains one of the most iconic racing experiences ever made. With its motocross side-scrolling action, Excitebike became one of the NES most beloved titles. Ramps, obstacles, and the challenge of racing against the clock made for quick, addictive matches. Its simple yet captivating style gave it a special place in gamers' hearts. The highlight was the design mode, which allowed players to create custom tracks, an innovation rare at the time. Even without saving features in the Western release, countless hours were spent building new tracks. This mix of fun and creativity ensured Excitebike a lasting spot in the 80s gaming history.
First seen in arcades and later ported to consoles, Bump and Jump mixed racing with action in an overhead view full of chaos. Players had to overtake rivals, bump them off the road, and jump over obstacles like rivers or oil slicks. It was fast, unpredictable, and endlessly entertaining. What made it memorable was the unpredictability. One moment you were leading, the next you were thrown off the track. That mix of challenge and humor gave the game a unique identity. It's remembered as one of the most unusual and energetic racing experiences of its time. Set in a post-apocalyptic future, Mach Rider put players on a motorcycle speeding through hostile highways filled with enemies. Its dark visuals and intense soundtrack gave it a mood unlike other racing games of the decade. It stood out as a bold mix of speed and combat on the NES. The design mode also allowed players to create their own stages, a rare feature in the mid-80s. This freedom encouraged endless experimentation, with players building new challenges over and over. Mach Rider wasn't just a race. It was a glimpse into the experimental spirit of early console gaming. With its overhead view and twisting tracks, Super Sprint brought arcade thrills to home systems. Players raced through circuits filled with hazards like oil spills and tornadoes, competing for first across short, fast-paced laps. The formula guaranteed fun and tension in every round. What set it apart was the social factor. 3 players could battle side by side in arcades, while home versions carried some of that energy forward. For kids in the 80s, Super Sprint wasn't just a game. It was a shared experience of rivalry and camaraderie. That competitive spirit is what made it unforgettable. More than just a racer, Spy Hunter combined speed with espionage in a car loaded with weapons and gadgets. Inspired by action movies of the era, it sent players on high-speed chases, dodging enemies and striking back with missiles, machine guns, and oil slicks. What made it stand out was the feeling of being inside an interactive spy film. Each playthrough brought new adrenaline, paired with its iconic theme music. For gamers of the 80s, Spy Hunter was one of the most thrilling and distinctive experiences of the decade. These were some of the racing games from the 80s that left their mark and still live on in memory. And if you want to step even further back, check out 11 toys from the 1980s that defined a generation. A trip through the unforgettable toys that shaped childhood.